In every generation, believers ask the same aching question. Why does God answer some prayers and seem silent to others? For many, this question becomes even more urgent when suffering stretches on, when illness lingers, when doors remain closed despite desperate pleas. Among the saints who spoke most deeply about this mystery was Padre Pio, the humble Capuchin friar from southern Italy, whose life was marked by extraordinary mystical experiences, the stigmata, and an almost unbroken life of prayer. Though modern social media sometimes attributes dramatic slogans to him, phrases like "pray this and God will answer," the real teaching of Padre Pio on answered prayer is far more profound, far more demanding, and infinitely more beautiful. He did not preach formulas. He did not offer spiritual shortcuts. Instead, he revealed the kind of prayer that moves the heart of God. Prayer rooted in surrender, soaked in trust, united with suffering, and persevered in without fear. Padre Pio spent most of his priesthood in the small town of San Giovanni Rotondo, where thousands traveled from around the world seeking confession, counsel, and healing. Many came with urgent requests: sick children, broken marriages, financial ruin, spiritual despair. Some left rejoicing, their prayers seemingly answered quickly. Others left still carrying their burdens. Yet Padre Pio's message to all of them was remarkably consistent. God hears every prayer, but he answers according to divine wisdom, not human urgency. At the heart of his spirituality was absolute trust. One of his most beloved sayings echoes across generations: pray, hope, and don't worry. These words were not sentimental comfort. They were forged in suffering. Padre Pio endured severe physical pain, relentless spiritual attacks, misunderstandings from church authorities, and periods of isolation when he was forbidden from publicly celebrating Mass or hearing confessions. During those dark seasons, his own prayers for relief were not immediately granted. Yet he never doubted that God was listening. For Padre Pio, the prayer God answers is not merely spoken with the lips. It is offered with the entire soul. It is prayer that surrenders outcomes. He often reminded his spiritual children that anxiety can quietly undermine faith. When we pray while secretly insisting on our preferred solution, we are not truly trusting God, we are negotiating. But when we say, "Lord, I ask this with all my heart, yet I trust your will above mine," heaven responds differently. Such prayer reflects Christ's own words in Gethsemane: "Not my will, but yours be done." This surrender does not mean passivity. Padre Pio believed in persistent prayer. He himself prayed the rosary countless times each day, calling it his weapon. In his view, perseverance is a sign of love. Just as a child continues to approach a loving father with confidence, so must the believer return again and again to God's presence. He often told people not to measure prayer by emotional consolation. Sometimes God seems silent precisely to deepen our faith. Silence can be an invitation to grow roots. Another essential element of the prayer God answers, according to Padre Pio, is suffering united with Christ. This is perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of his teaching. Because he bore the wounds of Christ, the stigmata, for 50 years, Padre Pio saw suffering not as meaningless pain, but as participation in the redemptive love of Jesus. When believers offer their suffering in union with Christ, their prayer takes on extraordinary spiritual power. He believed that tears endured in faith are like precious offerings placed directly into God's hands. Many testimonies from those who visited him describe how he would tell them that their suffering, if accepted and offered, could save souls. This perspective transforms prayer from a desperate request for escape into a powerful act of intercession. Instead of merely asking God to remove the cross, one begins to pray, use this cross for your glory. In such moments, prayer becomes aligned with divine love. And alignment for Padre Pio is the secret to its fruitfulness. He also emphasized purity of heart. Prayer offered while clinging to serious sin, he warned, loses its strength. That is why he spent long hours in the confessional. Reconciliation clears the channel between the soul and God. He believed confession was not merely about forgiveness, but about restoring intimacy. A heart reconciled with God prays differently, boldly, peacefully, confidently. When the soul is free, prayer flows more deeply. It is important to understand that Padre Pio did not measure answered prayer only by visible miracles. While many miraculous healings were attributed to his intercession, he saw the greatest answers to prayer in conversions. A hardened sinner returning to God was to him a greater miracle than physical healing. He often wept for souls in danger of eternal separation from God. For this reason, he urged believers to pray constantly for others, especially those far from faith. Intercessory prayer, offered with love and sacrifice, was in his eyes one of the most powerful forms of prayer. His canonization by Pope John Paul II confirmed the Church's recognition of his holiness and spiritual insight. Yet even as a canonized saint, Padre Pio remains a reminder that prayer is not magic. God is not compelled by repetition or volume, but by faith and love. The prayer God cannot resist in the language of devotion is the prayer that mirrors the heart of Christ, humble, obedient, trusting. There is a paradox in Padre Pio's teaching that comforts and challenges at the same time. He insisted that no sincere prayer is ever wasted. Even if the exact request is not granted, grace is always given. Sometimes the grace comes as strength to endure. Sometimes it comes as unexpected peace. Sometimes it comes years later in a way we never imagined. Heaven keeps nothing offered in faith. Every prayer becomes part of God's mysterious providence. This understanding frees believers from the crushing disappointment that can follow unanswered petitions. It reframes delay as preparation. It transforms apparent refusal into hidden mercy. Padre Pio often perceived that what people feared most was sometimes the very path through which God intended to bless them. Therefore, he encouraged spiritual maturity in prayer, a willingness to trust beyond sight. In today's world, where quick solutions and instant results are expected, his message feels radical. The type of prayer God answers is not transactional. It is relational. It is born from a living relationship with God. It grows through daily fidelity. It deepens through suffering. It shines through trust. When people reduce his spirituality to viral slogans promising guaranteed outcomes, they miss the depth of his witness. Padre Pio's life proclaims something far greater, that God is attentive to every cry, every whisper, every silent tear. The believer's task is not to control the answer, but to remain faithful in the asking. In the end, the prayer that heaven answers most powerfully is the prayer that seeks God himself above all else. When the soul prays not only for blessings but for union, something extraordinary happens. The heart begins to change. Desires become purified. Fear loosens its grip. Peace enters quietly, and sometimes, without even noticing the exact moment, the believer realizes that the greatest answer was not the removal of the burden, but the presence of God within it. That was the secret Padre Pio lived and taught. Pray with trust. Hope without fear. Offer your suffering. Persevere in faith. Leave the results to God. Such prayer, and he believed, never fails, because it already rests in the hands of the one who loves perfectly. We hope that this video has been to your liking. And if you love it, do not forget to give a like. Share it and subscribe to our channel for more beautiful visions from Padre Pio. And if you want to know more about interesting topics, leave us your comments and suggestions until next time.